Well, good morning, everybody. We are back again for another edition, which we are now going to call the Squamish Real Estate Show with your host. That would be me, Simon Hudson with McDonald Realty. I just want to go over a couple of quick things here today and talk about the top three things you can do to get top dollar for your home, and possibly the top three mistakes you can make because they're one and the same. If you do one, it's a benefit. If you do the other, it's a mistake. So I wanted to talk about them briefly. And when I was driving down here, I was thinking about the top three things on this rainy day. And amazingly enough, one of them, which I've spoken about before, is preparing the front of your home. So you always want to make sure that the front of your home is always looking the best that it possibly can. And I think this is a critical step for those of you that do not have your home currently on the market or are not planning in the really near future. Landscaping the front of your home and maintaining that no matter what else you are doing on your home is critical. Because if we can get the outside of your home to look fantastic all the time, people who are driving around the neighborhood all the time would be pointing out, oh, do you guys see that cute little house? They always maintain it so well. The inside of your house or your backyard may be a bit of a disaster, or it might be great, or you might be undergoing renovations. But if the front of your house always looks fantastic, then there's always this aura that surrounds your house that that's a beautiful house, that's a beautiful house. And when that happens, people will tend to want to find out more about your home, especially when it hits the market. So keep that in mind when you're going forward. So always keep the front of your house looking as spectacular as you can. So that would be tip number one, which falls in line with tip number two, which is a combination of two things. One is always have your home staged. So a staged home will sell much better than a non-staged home. Consider every time that you go into a show suite that has been prepared by a professional stager, that every time you go in, it looks brilliant. You always walk into those and think, geez, I could live here. This is incredible. And that's what people say when they look at a staged home versus one that's not staged. Now, you live in your home. I understand that, but by leaving the home the way it normally is, that's the way you live in it, but it may not be the way the buyer would live in your home. So we need to make sure that your home looks the most appealing as possible for every buyer. So when you're doing that, you always want to make sure that the inside is clean, which is the second part of that. Always make sure the house looks clean and smells great. There are a couple of tips and tricks you can do to make that even better, but we have all that lined up for you, and we'd certainly help you out there. The third item that I was going to mention is I was going to talk about price. And I was going to talk about how important price is when you're dealing with selling your home. Now, it kind of goes without saying. Obviously, if we price the property well, we're going to get enough traction on the property, and that's going to allow us to sell the property. And that was what I was going to say. But to be honest, I think everybody that watches this would go, oh, gee, come on, Simon, of course, price. We all know that. And we all know you're a realtor, and realtors are going to tell us we got to drop the price because that's what they all do. So let's take a step back. As I thought about that, I thought, well, what's the most obvious thing that I can tell you? Of course, select the right realtor. Now, in Squamish, there are quite a few realtors you have to choose from, and there's some criteria that you always want to make sure that you deal with. First of all, always recommend you work with somebody who works as a team. The team concept has been changed a lot over the last few years. We're not really allowed to work as a team with a bunch of realtors, but you can have licensed assistants, you can have marketing departments, you can have videographers, you can have stagers, you can have professional cleaners, and all of that are all the things that we do with our team here with Simon Hudson Personal Real Estate Corporation. So that's the one thing. You always want to make sure you're working with a team. Always. Also make sure that you're working with an experienced realtor. Experience goes a long, long way. So I've been in the business for 18 years. There are other realtors that have been in as long as I have, other realtors that possibly been in the market even longer than I have in real estate. Now, when you've got somebody who's been around, they've seen a lot of things that will work for your house. They've also seen things that are going to help market your house and make the house sell better. They also, from a buyer's perspective, they know what the houses look like. They know what the comparables are without even seeing them. When something comes on the market, they'll know how much of a comparable it is because they've been around long enough to do that. The other thing I would strongly recommend you look for in your realtor is look for a realtor that is being coached by a professional coaching association. Coaches, when you're coached by a real estate coach, you end up with a great network of people who can guide you through anything that you don't know. I have a coach that I work with, and the ideas that come out of my coach and other people being coached by this network of coaches is incredible. We get some ideas that help move properties better and faster than anybody else can do. So I'd recommend you do that. The other thing, going back to price, is that a realtor who is really good will come up with 3 to 4 modalities to determine what the price of your property should be. They won't just look at the assessment. They won't just look at comparables, but they'll actually have a detailed breakdown and be able to explain to you why the price should be what the price should be. So don't be afraid to question your realtor on that. Your realtor should be able to explain very, very specifically and accurately what your home should sell for in the current market conditions. If they're not aware, move on to the next one. So those are your 3 big tips to get top dollar for your home. Obviously, the one we talked about was cleaning. The second, which is cleaning and staging. Sorry, staging was the sort of paramount part of that. We do staging for all of our properties, from fluffing homes to actually staging them completely. Most of you will know, my wife is a professional stager, so she comes in and she can handle all of that, from full-on staging with furniture, tables, fluff items, to just fluffing up homes if the furniture that's in there is suitable for prospective purchasers. Then on top of that, you have the landscaping at the front. I just urge you, everybody, even if you're not a client of mine, if you're watching that, I urge you strongly to make sure the front of your house is always looking the best that it possibly can. By doing that, you're always going to be able to attract buyers, because people will know about your home. Finally, and last, of course, select the best realtor. I don't know, someone who's good, that's been around for a long time, someone who's keeping up with the times as far as marketing goes, someone who's using video exceptionally well to market properties, to market for buyers, to do those sorts of things, who can show you that they're cutting edge with what's coming up, but who also has the experience of what worked in the past to back up what they're doing. So we hear the renovations in our place, in our office here, have started up again, so we're going to get some noise. But I'll close out by saying thank you so much for watching the Squamish Real Estate Show with your host, of course, myself, Simon Hudson. Hope you have a fantastic day. Try to stay dry. And if you ever have any questions, call me anytime, 604-892-8155. And thanks so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.